This week on Engage the Sage.
Hi everyone, I'm Don Sossi. Welcome to this week's episode of Engage the Sage. This week, I'm going to talk about why we should strive to be necessary as teachers. As teachers, we have the awesome responsibility to introduce content to our students and to inspire their curiosity about so many amazing things. And one of the things that sometimes hurts our hearts as instructors is that while we're there to inspire that curiosity and share the awesome stuff, sometimes students don't come, and sometimes when they do come, they're off task. So one of the things that I want to do is to re-inspire our students to pay attention to us, because it's necessary that we do so, because we're going to do something valuable and special with their time. If what we do in class is not necessary, if we are just putting the textbook on slides and reading it to our students, then they can literally learn all the information without us. What I'm going to try to inspire you to think about today is about how you can use yourself as a necessary and valuable resource to help your students learn beyond what they can do on their own. And I think when we are necessary to teaching and learning, our students are going to like it more, we're going to like it more, and everybody's going to learn better. First thing I think we need to do to be necessary is we ourselves, as the teachers of the class, have to add value to our students' learning. As teachers, we should realize that our students have a lot of capabilities. They can read the textbook, they can read articles, they can watch the assigned videos, they can do all of those things. If all we're doing in class is reiterating those things, they maybe don't need us. So when our students in class, we should be using at least some of that time to go beyond what our students can do on their own. When I am designing my courses, I use my assignments, so the textbook, the readings, the videos that I post, as a supplement to me, rather than have me be a guide to those resources. So I think about what it is that I want to share. I think about what it is, the examples, the theories, all of that, and I use the textbook to supplement what I often won't do. So what's happening is what I do in class and what the textbook does are complementary, not redundant. And I will have this be reflected in the assessments. For instance, in some of my lower level classes where I might have exams, I might have 80% of the exam come from the content we learn together in class and 20% coming from the supplements that they can do on their own. And even that 80-20 breakdown lets students know there's more value in coming to class and learning with me than there is just doing the supplements on your own. Now, when I'm adding value, I might be adding additional content. I might be adding additional context. I might be providing examples. I might be doing lots of things that my personal and professional experience allow me to do to help them learn the information, maybe in a way that I learned it, but I'm doing something beyond just what the textbook says. And my purpose in doing that is to help them learn better. It's just not some narcissistic bent. I'm doing it to help them learn better than they can learn from the textbook on their own. Another thing we can do to add values as teachers and to be necessary as teachers is to provide opportunities in class for students to extend their learning. In class, I recommend you allow your students the opportunity to play with the material. Think about how you can use active learning in your class. And active learning for me is simply doing stuff with the material. Inviting your students to ask questions or to engage in conversation. Maybe do think, pair, shares. Maybe think about moral dilemmas. Maybe think about applications. Maybe think about critiques. Having them compare and contrast. Coming up with ways to design studies to test hypotheses that are related to the content. All of these are ways that they can deepen their learning in your class beyond just reading the textbook. When our classes are interactive and allow for the opportunity to play, allow for these expressions of active learning, it is better going to support our students' learning, and it's going to make us as teachers more necessary to that learning process. A third thing we can do to help our students kind of understand how necessary we are to teaching and learning is to make explicit to them the value of coming to class. So not only should it be valuable for your students to come to class to help them learn better, to help them learn more deeply, but let them know that is something that will happen by your course design. This is something that is not accidental. It is intentional. You will make their attendance valuable to their learning endeavors. When they come to class, explain to them why you're teaching the content. Let them know the value. Let them know the relevance. Let them know the personal and the professional applications, and allow them to come up with them themselves. Also let them know how this learning is going to be expressed and assessments. This is something where you maybe want to let them behind the scenes a little bit to let them know that everything in your class connects and you will facilitate those connections. If your students understand how everything connects and they understand the value of both doing the work outside and then applying it inside, the learning is going to get deeper and your students are going to become more successful. The fourth thing we can do to make us more necessary is when our students come to class, we're going to give them the oasis. I know a lot of us struggle with our students, as I started out with, coming to class or maybe not being attentive. If you make your class the oasis, the place where they can get away from everything else and focus on learning this really cool stuff with you, they're going to be more likely to come and more likely to engage. When we make the oasis for them, it's going to be great. When we make the oasis for us, it's going to be great too. When we go to class and we are engaged in that experience, or we're having a positive experience, that's going to trickle down to our students. It's going to increase better engagement experiences for them, and it's going to increase their learning. This is something we should do by design. So when our students are coming to that oasis, when they're trusting us that something valuable is going to happen, let's use that term well. Let's make sure that we're structuring and designing that experience to be fulfilling, supportive of their positive experiences, and supporting of their learning and their success. We're going to thank them for coming, and we're going to mean it. We're going to thank them for their questions, and we're going to mean it. We're going to thank them for their contributions, and we're going to mean it. And we're going to have a great experience with them. When my students come to class, and I think that's one of the greatest compliments that they can give me, is to take their time to come to class. I'm going to make it as valuable as I can make it. I'm going to be as necessary to supporting their learning success as I can be. I'm going to try to do more than they can do on their own. In the comments below, I would love to hear your thoughts on how we can be necessary as teachers. Thank you for watching this episode of Engage the Sage. Please like, subscribe, sign up for notifications, share us on social media, and we'll see you next time on Engage the Sage.